Yes, sir. YouTube, what's up with it? Back around for another round, you feel me? Hope y'all enjoying the videos thus far. Today's video we're gonna get into is gonna be based around the Sterling Correctional Facility. And for all y'all that don't know, I was incarcerated 11 and a half years. I actually paroled out of Sterling Correctional Facility. And Sterling Correctional Facility is ultimately a facility that houses everything from closed and medium to minimum and minimum restrictive. And for me, I ultimately got out from the low side, which would have been the MR side. And, you know, it was a hell of a facility. No real weights, only cable weights, you know, pretty big yard as far as, you know, having all the minimum and minimum R restrictive and all the closed and mediums together. But the topic of this video right here is going to be, does Make My Day stand in a Colorado prison? And ultimately, at one point, it was yes. But further down the road, the rules and regulations were changed by a House representative. They had a unanimous vote that does not apply to the prison cell, because, you know, they could put a CO or a correctional officer or somebody in jeopardy, because somebody could feel threatened them and coming into themselves, because in prison your cell is your house. So anytime somebody crosses that door, you know, there's going to be an issue. You know what I mean? So today we're going to get into two cases. One being the case that ultimately led for the Make My Day law to be active, and then another one that's similar like that. So let's go ahead and get into those right now. So this is Sterling right here that you see. You know, this has a yard for every custody level, from closed, medium, minimum restrictive. And I mean, they're big yards, big baseball diamonds, as you see, volleyball courts. You know, even there's little dogs. You know, there's a dog program on the minimum side that allows you, and I think even on the high side, now that I think back, that you can have a dog and, you know, train them and so forth. But what we're about to get into first and foremost is the case of Cleveland Flood. And Cleveland Flood actually got killed in Sterling in 2011, and the killers used the Make My Day law as their argument that he came in the cell, he pulled out a shank, and he demanded canteen from them. And they took action. They stuck him over, I think, like 90, 120 times. And you can imagine that man got his ass Swiss cheese, right? But unfortunately, you know, looking at this little video of Sterling, you right here, you think, you know, it looks harmless, right? It looks, you know, you see people run in, you know, it looks calm on the yard. But you got to remember, in prison, anything can change at the drop of a dime. And you got to remember, everybody that's in prison, even though they seem normal and they act, these are convicts. And where does the word con come from? To convince somebody, you know, they're con artists. And so they're very deceptive. And you always got to remember, you know what I mean? Wolf in sheep's clothing to a degree, right? Because 1 second can change anything from whatever reasons. You never know what another cat is plotting. And you think about it, you know, you dealing with these type of circumstances every day, up close and personal, because of course you got people like that in the real world at large, but in prison you're locked up and close, and you're taking showers. I mean, you're closer than close with all of the worst of the worst. So, you know, don't let the looks fool you about what prison really is, looking at the surface in these videos right here. But in a legal first, a Colorado prisoner has successfully used the state's Make My Day law to defend himself in a prison killing. The inmate prosecutors say he was stabbed 90 times. Prosecutors had charged Antero Alaniz with murder in the 2011 death of inmate Cleveland Flood inside the Sterling Correctional Facility. But in December 2014, a judge quietly dismissed the case against Alaniz, citing the state's Make My Day law. The law, passed by Colorado legislature in the 1985s, allows for any occupant of a dwelling to use, quote, any degree of physical force against someone who has broken into the home and poses a threat, no matter how slight, to the home's residents. Cleveland Flood was considered a habitual criminal by the courts and was serving a 48-year sentence for burglary. An autopsy shows he was stabbed 90 times all over his body. More than 2 years after his death, prosecutors charged Antero Alaniz and his cellmate Aaron Burnell with second-degree murder. Both inmates claim that they killed Flood after Flood entered their cell uninvited. They also claim that Flood was armed with a shank at the time. Flood's mother did not know about the case's dismissal until she was notified by the 9 News Wants to Know. Quote, "I don't think it should have been dismissed," she says. Not in prison, not in prison. Maybe out here or somebody when they try to break into your home, but not in prison." Logan County District Attorney Brittany Lawston was equally concerned about the ruling. Quote, "We really had no belief that the court would find it any way in a prison cell was a dwelling," she said. She said her office plans to appeal the decision to the Colorado Court of Appeals in large part because of implications for the state's prison system. "I think the ruling could limit how the Department of Corrections is able to run a safe facility," she said. She also worries how other inmates could use this defense to try to justify a prison killing. In fact, in 2014, 2 inmates under suspicion of killing inmate Cody Gray inside Sterling Correctional Facility. The case shows striking similarities to the Flood case.
News alert tonight. These 2 inmates now suspects after another prisoner is found dead at Sterling Correctional Facility. Now, this is raising questions about the safety of the guards and the employees there. But tonight, the DOC is only telling 7 News reporter Marshall Zellinger they are reviewing policies and procedures.
These are the Department of Corrections photos of Robert Sprowls and Thomas Johns. Both inmates at the Sterling Correctional Facility have been removed from general population and segregated following the death of this inmate, Cody Gray, who was serving a life sentence for sexual assault, drugs, and burglary. All 3 inmates were known as close custody offenders. This is the policy we found that dictates what close custody offenders are allowed, and it's more lax than it sounds. A minimum of 6 hours out of their cell each day for work, meals, education, the library, and showers. And then there's this. Unrestrained and unescorted movement will be allowed both inside and outside of the living unit. The Department of Corrections would not reveal how or where Gray was killed. Sources tell the Call 7 investigators the 2 suspects, Sprowls and Johns, are prison gang members. Sprowls is serving 48 years for attempted murder in Arapahoe County. Johns is already in prison for life, convicted of killing an employee at this Arvada Burger King in 2007. Marshall Zellinger, 7 News.
Sterling Correctional has seen 6 of the state's last 9 murderers, making it the most dangerous prison in Colorado. One of the original sponsors of what was originally titled the Colorado Homeowner Protection Act told 9 Wants to Know he agrees with the district court judge decision to dismiss the case against the inmates. Quote, "A prison is in fact a dwelling for several thousand people in Colorado," he said. "A prison cell is his home, and he had the individual who is now deceased not cross his threshold, then Alaniz would not have to take any action, and that action he did take. Since 1985, Colorado has experienced a large reduction of home burglaries. The National Archive of Criminal Justice data shows that a 71% reduction in burglary in Colorado since the passage of the Make My Day law. While the country has seen a reduction as well, Brandon feels Colorado's sharp drop can be attributed, at least in part, to the Make My Day law. The state Senate voted 35-0 Monday in 2016 to amend Colorado's so-called Make My Day law, which allows deadly force against threatening intruders. This amendment to the law will now exclude prisoners from being able to actually use the Make My Day law when they feel threatened, especially when they're in a cell. So these dudes right here really lucked out. I mean, being behind the walls, they got a free body basically right there, because once John Hickenlooper signed that law back into effect that did not apply to prisoners, it was over with. You know what I mean? There ain't no, can't argue it no more. The door is closed right there. They got a free body out of that one right there. And I looked them both up. I mean, they still doing life sentences regardless, because they were doing life sentences before that. But, you know, I think the earliest one has like a 2054 eligibility date. That's like the closest one. But, you know, they really lucked out right there. That's you know, they got a free body right there. I mean, nobody really cares, but it's fucked up that the whole reason that they closed the Make My Day is because it's for a prisoner, though. If it wasn't for a prisoner, you know, it'd be normal. But in prison, though, no matter how you cut it, your cell is your home. You know what I mean? But of course, as a prisoner, though, you the lowest bottom rung tier, you know, they don't give a fuck about you. You society's trash. You know, prisons where society puts the people that can't be in society, right? So you're trash to society. Your society's trash while you're in prison. Who care about the trash, right? But you know, cold degree right there. You know, motherfuckers got a free body. But now Cody Gray, on the other hand, he was a sex offender. So how he managed to get so far blows my mind, because I seen that cat before when I was at Lyman. I feel like I might even been at another facility with him, and I seen him running around with all those white dudes, you know, the racist white dudes. And I know that I've heard after he got killed from people that, you know, be still independent and so forth. And a lot of them cats come from the same county, which is like Mesa, Durango, and shit like that. They all knew he was a sex offender. They all knew he was a piece of shit right there. But, you know, at the end of the day, he somehow deceived and maybe had fake paperwork. Who knows? He made it a little distance into his bed before they actually pulled his motherfucking cord in Sterling right there. But you know, they could have argued self-defense right there, but I mean, this shit wouldn't stand it because, you know, 2016 is when that went into law. But you know, had it been good for a prisoner, had that law never went into effect, they could have beat that Cody Gray case easily because somebody entered your dwelling and put you at harm's risk. So I got a bonus for y'all right here. This is an extra added bonus clip right here, and this happened in CSP from what I'm understanding, and everybody was drinking some of that Pruno, that motherfucking jailhouse motherfucking liquor, the motherfucking hooch. Everybody in there getting drunk, everybody in there drinking and shit, and I guess they got into a fight. You know, dude got his head kicked in, and the dude that got his head kicked in, he just looked like a regular smuggler, everyday average person. And you know, that goes for a lot of y'all out there. A lot of y'all just be on some regular ass shit, and one day y'all fuck up, and then you find yourself behind these walls under these conditions. And he probably thought shit was sweet. He might have started jailing for a little while, feeling comfortable and shit. You know, got him a little bit of that drink, and everybody in that motherfucker, you know, when they start getting drinking shit, you know, motherfucker, whole prerogative change right there. You know what I mean? You might press some buttons. You know, motherfuckers is mentally loose. You feel me? To begin with, before the drink. But let's peek this one out.
Investigates is uncovering yet another violent murder inside the walls of the Colorado State Prison in Canyon City.
Tonight, investigative reporter Sean Rice is speaking with the family of the victim, who claims prison officials refuse to take responsibility for the ongoing violence happening on their watch.
Inside, locked gates and chain link fences.
They don't have a way to defend themselves. They don't have a way to look out for their own well-being.
Danny Cochran's son, Nicholas Hill, was kicked over 24 times. Kicks to the head and neck area that left him brain dead in March. His death ruled a homicide by the coroner.
The only thing that the warden told me was that Nicholas was in the ICU. And I said, what happened? And he said that he had stepped into a fight.
Inside the walls of the Colorado State Penitentiary, investigators with the Colorado Department of Corrections say these three men, Terrell Lee, Charles Porter, and Justin Sanders, allegedly assaulted Hill and multiple other inmates. All three men are now facing second-degree murder charges in Fremont County. The fight all started with multiple inmates having alcohol in prison.
The prisoners are in control right now. They are completely in control of what goes on there and what happens.
Cochran's focus is now on the documented staffing shortages inside Colorado prisons. Data collected by 13 Investigates shows more than 1,100 job vacancies across the Department of Corrections in June of last year. That number includes more than 468 open jobs for correctional officers.
DOC is completely understaffed, overworked. They've got officers that are in danger, not only inmates that are in danger from this, but their officers are in danger.
Cochran says his son was incredibly involved in his family members' lives. Even behind closed doors, he would have regular phone calls with his 9 siblings, friends, and parents, all of them now forced to say goodbye too soon.
He would call once a week minimum religiously, and I'd start wondering about him. And now, if I go 3, 4, 5 days without it, I start thinking, oh, should be hearing from Nick pretty quick. And then it's just that complete realization that your son's gone and he's never coming back.
I've asked the Colorado Department of Corrections how this violent assault was able to take place and why they never informed the public of this inmate's death. They refuse to answer either question, citing what they call an ongoing investigation. Reporting in the newsroom, Sean Rice, 13 Invest.
That's a sad state of affairs, though. You see that? You know what I mean? No guarantee you ever make it home. From both of those other stories, too, you know, you think you might go into the cell to get a fair fade. Shit, you never know. Motherfucker might poke your ass up. You don't know what might happen. You never know what happens when you go in that cell. I try to tell y'all before that, you know, when you fighting in prison, you fighting to live to see another day, right? And a lot of the motherfuckers already got all day, so they don't even want to fight. But end of the story is, you know, man, if you already out here and your life is good out here and you ain't motherfucking commit no crimes, all the more to you. But whoever watching this video, if you motherfuckers are straddling the fence between your freedom and motherfucking being behind the walls, here's a little glimpse of reality of what's going to come to you one of these days when you fall on that other side right there. Because, boy, they keep the light on in that motherfucker for you. Let me tell you that. They waiting for you. They got a free bed for you. They got breakfast, lunch, and dinner waiting with your name on it. All you got to do is pay the. You ain't got to pay no bills. The only bill you got to pay is that sentence. That's the only bill you ever got to pay right there. They gonna provide everything else you want. You feel me? But y'all let me know what y'all think about this video right here. If you made it this far, bam, hit me with that thumbs up one time. Let me get a like on the video if you would be so kind. I greatly do appreciate you. And till the next one, I'm gone.